Hi, everybody. Welcome to Oddcast, a For Nerds by Nerds show. My name is Paige, and these are my co-hosts, Joe and CN.
What up?
And today, we're going to talk to you about The Bad Batch, the Star Wars animated show on Disney+. But before we get in too far, I want to go ahead and give you this opportunity to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, as well as to hit the notification bell so you can be aware anytime we have new videos and come and watch them. I guess, should we start off with a spoiler-free review?
Yep. Sure. It's not really like a movie, but yeah. I mean, I say let's go for it.
It was only 16 episodes, which I mean is on par. Yes, it was only. I wanted more. I wasn't done.
That's what you meant. Like, it was only 16 episodes.
Cian, what do you think? Let's start with you, the most critical of us.
Am I that guy?
Yes.
Am I?
You are that guy.
Joe?
So it depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you.
No, I think it depends on who you ask and under what opinion you ask. Because, like, half the time I could say something is a 9 or an 8 and be like, but, you know, it had these things, and people would be like, he hated it. And I'm like, I just gave it, like, a high number. Joe hated it. Why?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. You can testify. You've been there.
Yeah.
I think you're one of the people who makes that accusation. Joe didn't like it. I gave it like a 7.5.
It really depends on what you say and how critical you are. It's like, that just sounds like you really hated it. So just so you know,
I'm the one that everybody thinks is the hypercritical one, just so everybody's aware.
That's not true. I think he's the hypercritical one.
I gave it... we did watch the final episode, right?
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
You have to question it?
I just had to make sure.
Keep in mind you're rating the show, not the final episode, because you did not like the last episode.
I was not a big fan of the last episode. But I gave it a solid 7.5. 7.5 is where I'm at with that one.
All right, Joe?
I think 7.5 is a good number for me, too.
I think I'd give it a solid 8. I really enjoyed it, as you could tell by my intro.
I mean, it was good. It was great. It filled in a lot of gaps, especially on Camino and all that. Filled in a lot of gaps. It had a lot of story elements that was pulled from the movies and even some of the other Disney.
Well, no, stuff. It was. If you hadn't watched Rebels, you're gonna be lost.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. You're gonna be lost, but you're gonna have a lot of questions.
You're gonna have some questions, but I feel like if you didn't watch Clone Wars, you're gonna be lost.
Yes, especially Clone Wars,
because it was definitely needed.
I'm sorry. You're right.
I was like, Rebels is important, but it's not like.
You know what I'm saying? I meant Clone Wars. If you didn't watch Clone Wars, then you would be lost, especially since The Bad Batch was introduced in the last season of the Clone Wars. The last season of the Clone Wars is so good.
But this is your opportunity, just like the clones in Camino, to GTFO.
Yep.
Before everything gets destroyed. All right, so moving into...
that wasn't a spoiler.
We're in the spoiler area. They've passed the warning zone.
Okay.
Now we're in the... They were warned.
They already heard the alarm.
Yeah, the alarm went off. Okay. They know. It was sounded. Yeah, if you hadn't watched Star Wars Rebels, then you wouldn't understand Hera and Chopper being in it.
Hera and Chopper, yeah.
But...
Which I thought was really awesome. I love that they included that, as well as... Because they already had started with Kanan in the first episode.
Correct.
So I feel like in a later season, they're definitely going to bring them back, and we'll get to see when they meet, and which, you know... I'm super stoked for, because they were great characters.
Yeah, they're very good characters. And then, of course, you've got Saul, who has been in everything.
Yeah, I don't like his character, though.
You're not supposed to. Like,
it's true.
You're supposed to not like him. He's supposed to be the extreme of the rebellions. That you're like, that's the level I don't want to go to.
Yes, that's true.
But a couple of really big questions got answered in this series, in just season 1, which I think is great, including, what the fuck does a gonk droid do? Now we know.
Yeah. It powers up. It's like an extra battery.
It's a battery with it was a battery with legs. I was like, excellent. It has a purpose now. Yep. So now they're not just wandering around. Now you understand. Oh,
they're not just they're not just being manhandled. Like just they're actually there as like extra battery.
And then of course we got to meet Jabba's Rancor.
Yep.
So we got to see it get captured, which I think was a fun throw into this is what's coming with the Imperial.
It definitely was.
And we got to learn why you would. We got to learn what the difference was between clone troops and stormtroopers, and then question why you would ever switch.
Yeah.
To stormtroopers.
Why they were no more. So they explain why there are no more.
And I love how they said that the clones were training the stormtroopers, and that they weren't teaching them everything, and they were teaching them wrong so that they could become progressively worse as they hopped down the line and less information got passed down. I was like,
Hence the misfiring.
Yeah.
Well, I still can't compare it to, in A New Hope. They said these precise when Ben goes to Luke and they first meet, all these precise aims could only be stormtroopers. I'm like, yo, buddy, they suck. That is not. So it was the first movie. We'll let it go. Sort of, not really, but I did like that how they introduced that into the canon of this is why they suck.
Also, they laid a lot of groundwork in the season 1, which I like, including Ahsoka. We know she's out there. We know there's some stuff going on, and they definitely layered it in with what's going on in Clone Wars. But before we get to Rebels, to kind of flesh out her character more.
And Rex.
Yeah, and Rex is out there, and then the other clone that they introduced, who was with Rex when he shows up in Rebels.
Was it Gregor or Wolf?
I think it was.
Wolf.
Was it Wolf?
Because they're both in Rebels, and
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I think it was Wolf, but it could be Gregor. But
one of those two.
Yeah, but so they kind of fleshed that character out more so that you see him kind of get recruited. And you know that Rex is working on missions for somebody, but you don't know who that somebody is. But of course, we know that Ahsoka's out there. And
Fulcrum.
I do like how they explained what happened to Camino. Like,
yes.
It was because I was always wondering. I was like, well,
What happened to the clones?
What happened to the clones?
Yeah,
like,
they had this whole army. Where'd they go?
And they explained it. They blew the fuck out of the entire city.
And then, of course, you have the links to The Mandalorian with the cloners having the weird that insignia that the Camino people have on their shoulder. It's like a line and then a line and a dot. But the character in Mandalorian also has it, the one that's trying to get Grogu, and the person at the end of the season.
So you think they're Camino clones?
I think that it's... I don't know if it's... So...
Well, no, because not all of the Kaminoans are dead, so they still have their cloning capabilities, so maybe they created another set of clones, because they also couldn't do any more from Jango's blood. They had run out of his DNA, so they would have found somebody else.
And there's a lot of interesting theories floating around because of the cloners, because we know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are working on retconning aspects of the sequel trilogy
So
by
happy.
fixing it in the shows that they have.
So happy.
This is already fixing some of those gaps. That and The Mandalorian are fixing some of the gaps, because we know that Palpatine has clones, and they were working on making it so that the clones have a midichlorian count. And we also know that Omega has something special about her. I think it's midichlorians. I know that...
Wait. So, yes, Joe and I have had this conversation about her character. So, Joe, from the jump, was headstrong in the fact that she has midichlorians enough to where she can use force powers. My opinion is no. And if they did, they would have shown something. And towards the end of the final episode... He was like, "Oh, here comes the point where
I
they might
think
be able
they're
to
going
do
to
it."
tease it this whole time. I think that they are doing a better job with this one, because one of the things that bothered me in Mandalorian is that they revealed too quickly that Grogu had the Force.
So the thing about it is, there's nothing, from my opinion, my own opinion. I didn't see anything that would make her special. The only thing that I thought that would make her special was that she was created along with.
Well, one, she's a girl.
The Bad Batch.
She's the first female clone.
That makes her special, right there.
And she has an Australian accent. I mean, that's also weird to me. Whatever. So I didn't know that y'all had this conversation. I feel like that was probably one of the things that they induced into her DNA to try to make her special. However, I don't know that I don't think it took.
So, since Paige hasn't heard these theoretical debates, I'm going to share a fangirl moment with you guys right now.
Oh, Jesus.
And that is, so Omega has blonde hair. Jango is a brunette. However, there is one Force-strong character who has spent enough time on Camino to possibly have a blood sample taken by the Kaminoans, and he was also blonde as a child. Care to give a guess as to who that is?
So?
Okay, no. Okay, so maybe, however, she is still related to the other clones.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's still based on
Django.
Django's DNA chain.
So
They
maybe
wouldn't introduce a second DNA chain.
Maybe they.
They would if they needed to include the midichlorians.
I mean, splicing's a thing. They're cloners. They know how to do that. So I mean, they may have used a sample from Obi-Wan to induce or introduce the midichlorians into her. I mean, it's possible.
I wasn't thinking
He
Obi-Wan.
wasn't thinking Obi-Wan.
But he was there.
Anakin spent just as much time with the Kaminoans as Obi-Wan did. Going back and forth through the planet with Obi-Wan. If you were going to sample somebody who is incredibly strong with the Force...
They would have hinted at it in the entire 16 episode.
I mean, he's also another possibility.
I think that they laid the groundwork for it because you need the clones to gear up towards that Palpatine crossover towards the end.
The more you watch our show, I'm just going to give you guys a little insight behind the scenes thing. Joe loves random ass theories. Like, he does. He will throw out a theory.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, but some of these theories are way far-fetched. Anakin, come on now. Get out of here.
It could be.
Yes, it could be.
I'd be interested to see what happens, especially since we know that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are also laying the groundwork for continuation of the story after Mandalorian. So Grogu's school, essentially, after the sequel trilogy, which means that you have to introduce characters who are going to be young enough now that if you were to pull them later, you'd be like, oh, I know that character. So,
but that's down the line.
And Omega showing up.
You think Omega will show up later? And
I think she's going to show up in The Mandalorian. I think that they're laying the groundwork for characters that they can pull in.
No, she will.
She's young enough to be older.
Especially since she's right now Hera's age.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll for sure be back.
Especially since as part of the Thrawn trilogy.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I think she has the Force. I don't think that she's going to be able to use it to like the way that a Jedi could. Obviously,
no. Yeah,
but I think that she has it, and
there are plenty of Force-sensitive people.
And I think that it's revealed itself in the show in subtle ways. They used subtle hints and subtle language of
very
empathy and
very
being
subtle.
the empath part of it, like.
As well as her instincts.
Yeah.
The instincts are a very important part of being a Jedi, and she does have those.
If that's the case, then technically Hunter also should have, because he has very good instincts.
Well, he has hunting instincts of like I can track stuff and do stuff. She has I can predict my opponent's moves because I know what.
No. But in Episode 1, when Qui-Gon tells small Anakin about what midichlorians are, they are everywhere. In everything, so some people would even have just a little bit.
Yeah,
like
they say Han does.
That is Star Wars' way of showing that type of sense in people. That sixth sense is midichlorians. So I'm quite certain that part of what makes a lot of the Bad Batch special, Hunter specifically, is that he probably does have that.
So I'm going to move away from the Jedi thing and go into. When do you guys think that Crosshair had his chip removed? Do you think that he had his chip removed, or do you think he's lying about it?
I mean, he does have a major scar inside of his head.
That doesn't mean anything. Honestly,
I think that they lied to him and told him it was removed, but it's not removed.
My question is, how did he get the Empire to have his chip removed? Like, what did he have to say?
That is why I think that it wasn't removed. I think that when
there's no way that they would.
I think
take
that when
that
they
risk.
strengthened it, they told him they were removing it.
honestly, that sounds.
Well, no, when they strengthened it, he's been seen without his helmet on many times after they strengthened it. He didn't have that scar. He didn't have that. We didn't see that scar until towards the end.
Well, that's because the scar's from the burn. When they burned the side of his face.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that they lied. I think they just straight up lied to him.
I agree.
I think so, because there's no way that the Empire's going to take that risk of taking that chip out and him reverting back to his old self.
Absolutely.
There's no way.
They enhanced it to see what it would do, and then, because now they're losing control of just the normal clones.
Now, my question is, too, especially towards the end, since he was left by himself on Camino, do you think, and they did say that they were going to have scouts go back, do you think they're going to properly accept him in the second season?
No, because the one guy who escaped saw him kill the other troopers. So unless he has a way to justify that.
He might.
And then I think that they would need a reason to hunt down the Bad Batch, and I think that Omega's going to be that reason still.
Yeah.
That's why I think that there's something more
especially
to her
since they still took the scientists, and she's probably going to say that Omega is the only one that has the key to whatever.
I have a feeling that the person who wanted these clones made, the special clones, we know that Omega was kept in a separate area where they could do experimentation that was hidden.
She's also older. She was grown normally.
She was
yeah. And we know that Palpatine is still, younger, that he could be wandering around. And we know that he can still wipe the floor with Darth Maul, because that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, it has. It happened already.
Oh, it hasn't?
No, Palpatine is the Emperor,
Yeah.
which is why the clones are being...
yeah, so they've already had
Come on, guys!
Yeah. We know that he already wiped the floor with Darth Maul and has Vader as an apprentice. And I think that if anybody's going to figure out that the Kaminoans are lying, then that means that it's going to be Palpatine.
It's also possible that they used Palpatine as the addition.
You are correct, because I was thinking, that what would be the one thing that you could change to make the sequel trilogy better, and it would be knowing who the fuck Rey's parents were well before you get there. And they said that it was Palpatine's son, but what if they were lying? What if it wasn't his son? What if it was his daughter? And by daughter, we just mean clone.
And by clone, you just... you just mean Omega.
Yeah. Sister of Boba, who they call Alpha.
But just like in the sequel trilogy, which I vehemently dislike, it's a whole nature versus nurture thing. So if Omega really is partially Palpatine essence-esque, they may be wanting her back so that she can become something else, but nature versus nurture, I don't think she's going to, because she has Hunter in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, there has to be a reason why she's being hunted, and that's what I'd be interested to see. And then, I mean, you still have other loose ends, including Darth Maul is out there with the Shadow Organization, even though they only really hinted at the spice traders.
But they're not going to go after the Bad Batch. I mean, if we're focusing on the Bad Batch, they
did bring in the Pikes and the spice traders, and we know from Solo, that was a weird movie, that Darth Maul is still around, so...
Yeah, he's still doing his thing. So it'll be interesting to see. What's your favorite theory? What did you think of the Bad Batch? How did you like it? Let us know in the comments.
Are you just as excited about season 2 as I am?
Is that confirmed? Is that confirmed?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they have the green light to do whatever they want on Disney.
They do.
Much the way that Ryan Reynolds has the green light to essentially do whatever he wants for advertising. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni can just do whatever they want, and Disney will be like, "Are you making money with it? Cool, make it happen." And Kathleen Kennedy will be like, "No, my empire."
Well, Kathleen Kennedy can go
yourself.
And she might be. We're going to find out later this year. So,
I hope so.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and be notified, and we will let you know the minute that Paige's most exuberant thing could happen, which is that Kathleen Kennedy gets canned.
Yes.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.